Hello, boys and girls. I want to talk to you today about the Bugera 1960. This is the classic version, not the Infinium. So there is no tube life extension technology in it. It's just a standard amplifier. The Bugera 1960 is a clone of the Marshall 1959. The Marshall Model 1959 was the response to a request from Pete Townsend of The Who for a 100-watt amplifier. The Model 1959 is what they came up with, and I'm going to tell you right out of the gate. If you live in an apartment and you buy this amp, you're going to need a power attenuator. Because in order to get this amp to sound good, you got to turn it up. You got to crank the snot out of it, and you have to saturate the power tubes. It's powered by 4 EL34 power tubes and 3 12AX7s or EC83 tubes in the pre-section. You can take 2 of the power tubes out to cut the power in half. You can either take out the 2 inners or the 2 outers. They're in a line. I take out the 2 inners because the further you put the tubes apart, the better heat dissipation you have, because they get pretty warm. Right now I have 2 of the tubes pulled out. I'm running at half power, and this, I'm going to say it again, this thing is wake the dead loud. It is a really, really, really loud amplifier. It's a very basic setup. You have your power switch, you have your standby switch, you have your presence, treble, mid, bass, and it's a 2-channel amplifier. You have a volume control for both channels. You got volume 1 and volume 2. But as with all of these Model 1959, or as they came to be called the Plexis, it's probably most people know them as the Plexi amp, you can bridge channel 1 and channel 2 with a jumper, and you can plug into one of the other inputs. You've got channel 1 and 2 high, which is a higher decibel range, and channel 1 and 2 low, which cuts the decibels a bit. If you're going to go for a clean sound, that would be the one that you're plugging into. If you're going to go for the distorted sound, you're going to go into the high. When you use both channels, channel 1 is very bright, very sparkly. Actually, it's a little too bright for my taste. I probably would never just plug into channel 1 and use channel 1 all by itself. Channel 2 is darker. I like the sound of channel 2 better on its own. But when you combine the two, what you get is a really wide bandwidth of sound, and it sounds really good. And that's what most of the players did back in the day that used these. I mean, we're talking Pete Townsend, Jimi Hendrix, Judas Priest used them, Randy Rhoads would use these things, and what he did was he had them modified so that there was a gain stage. They cascaded the gain stage and gave it more push. But this is your stock Plexi style Model 1959 clone. All right, now I don't have a speaker on, or a speaker. I don't have a microphone on the amplifier itself. I've got a mic out in the room. It's about 7 feet away from the amplifier. What I'm running this thing into right now is an old Fender 212 that it's semi-open back. And I have it loaded with 2 Celestion G12S 50s. They were made in 1983 back in Ipswich, England. Very good sounding speakers in this setup. I've had them in closed back setups. I had them in a 412 closed back, and I had them in a 212 closed back, and they didn't sound as good. They sounded really just like something was pushing on them, like they were being held back. When I put them in the semi-open back here, they came to life, and I really like the speakers in this setup. But anyway, I'm going to turn this thing on and give you a quickie little demo, and it's about to get very, very loud. Okay, so like again, that's why I'm wearing these muffs on my ears. So I'm sitting right next to this thing, and I don't want to blow out my eardrums, because that's exactly what will happen. Even with 2 of the tubes out with the power cut in half, this thing is still really, really loud. With all the tubes in it, forget it. You're going to bring the plaster down. The settings I have right now are presence is almost dimed at 8, treble is at 3, mid is at 3, bass is at 5, right up the middle. The volume 1 is set to 7, it goes to 10, and volume 2 is set to 7, it goes to 10. Your sweet spot where it starts to break up and you start to get that distortion is right about 6. So I pushed it up to 7 to get good saturation so you could hear that. I don't know what the mic is going to hear. I don't know what it's going to sound like, but I am going to put this video up as is because I think it's a Plexi, it's a clone of a Marshall, it's well constructed, it's a good sounding amplifier. I don't need to sing its praises there, but what I do want you to see is how loud this thing is about to get. All right, here we go. So, Gibson SG Standard, 495 pickup in the front, 498 pickup in the back. I got all the pots cranked, and you'll see what this thing does. Here we go. Anyway, that is the Bugera model 1960. Very good sounding, old school sounding, very loud amplifier. Now you'll notice I took the label off. I took the Bugera logo off because I think they look stupid. I wish they would redesign it and do something different. They put a very large chrome cursive style logo on it, you know, trying to look like kind of like a Marshall, but it's chrome and it's big, and I just, my personal taste, I don't like the logo. So I pull them off. I love the Bugera amps, but I pull the logos off because they just look horrific to me. Anyway, there you have it. Bugera 1960. You want to get loud, this thing will get loud. This thing's all about loud. I hope you found this little video educational and helpful. Rock on, people. Have a good day. God bless.